Whiskey Morning Coffee is a small batch roaster located in Tolar, Texas. It's one of the fastest growing companies in Texas. Your order is roasted, packaged, and shipped the same day you place it. Whiskey Morning Coffee. Their barrel-aged coffee starts as the green coffee beans are aged in a bourbon barrel for 2 months. After aging, the coffee is roasted to a medium roast, then packaged and shipped the same day you place your order of barrel-aged coffee. Texian Army Brew by Whiskey Morning Coffee. It's a smoky, dark roast coffee. It is smoked for 8 hours with pecan and cherry wood. Whiskey Morning Coffee are the first coffee company to ever barbecue smoked coffee beans. You will get a handwritten thank you note from one of the 4 founders of Whiskey Morning Coffee.
This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is the one that everybody wants, me. Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore! Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my honor. You're going to acknowledge me.
Welcome to the current state of WWE. It is Monday, January 29th, 2024. Hope everyone's doing well, and we have Anthony DeMarco with us as we are about to break down a little bit of the Rumble. You guys have already heard my full review, but this is going to be a lot more focused on the devastating news about CM Punk and his injury and him being out 4 to 6 months and what this means to WWE, what this means to Punk. So Anthony, how you doing, man? And crazy 48 hours here.
A lot has changed since the last time we spoke last Monday, eh? Between Vince McMahon and what that's meant for the company on the business side and even the creative side because of Brock Lesnar's potential involvement given the accusations and now the injury to CM Punk, what happened at the Royal Rumble, and it feels that the direction creatively of this company is almost completely different than where we thought it was going to be when last time we spoke.
Yeah, it does. I mean, there is just chaos right now, and Triple H is doing the best he can to navigate those waters. But my God, is it there's so much, so quote unquote, off the field stuff right now that they're trying to play damage control, no pun intended, and they're really trying to just focus on the product and the good things. But even the product right now, it's not a bad product. I think they've got a stacked roster, but it's just injury now after injury. Major injuries. These aren't, mid-card stars with Charlotte and Seth Rollins, who's on the shelf for a month, and now Punk, who is seemingly out for 4 to 6 months, missing WrestleMania. What happens with the world title? That now affects, who's going to face Seth Rollins, and like you said, the Brock Lesnar effect, who was named in the lawsuit, so he didn't show up at the Rumble, which means Gunther and Brock Lesnar's not happening, and it's insanity right now. But before we get into all of the extracurricular stuff, I do want to ask you about the Rumble and kind of give your thoughts on the winners and overall feeling about the PLE.
Well, look, I believe it's well documented at this point that it was a very predictable PLE. I mean, I got almost all of my predictions wrong. I think I was I went 2 for 4. I predicted the 2 Rumble winners, but I think everyone and their mother predicted Bayley and Cody Rhodes to win. I know you did as well. And those 2 matches, I think, and the winners and outcomes specifically, very predictable, but not necessarily the wrong pick. I hate Cody Rhodes with every being of my body, but objectively speaking, he probably was the right pick. The U.S. title match, I mean, I thought Kevin Owens was going to walk out with the championship just because SmackDown needs a consistent championship for the men, something they have not had since October at this point, with no tag title and Roman Reigns holding his title hostage and Logan Paul defending his U.S. championship for the first time since he won it almost 3 months ago. And then, but that's not the end of the world. I do really like Logan Paul as champion when he's there. For me, it's just I really had it up to my last straw with absentee champions. And then the Undisputed Championship match, and I believe you described it as formulaic. That's the perfect way to describe it. And the placement of it, very bizarre. It buried the lead. You know which way it was going. And not only did you know the outcome, but you knew exactly what was going to happen. That Solo was going to get involved. There'd be some shenanigans for Roman to win the belt, and then he rolls out as the champion again. So, look, in a vacuum, the pay-per-view was satisfactory. I mean, I would give it like a C, C+. Not terrible, but I was just expecting a lot more. I really thought like this was going to be a monumental pay-per-view, a major shift in the direction, maybe Triple H putting his stamp on the product. But I thought that he just went with a bunch of safe picks. And some of them were the right choices in the Rumble winners. But the fact that Roman holds onto the championship again, and we're getting Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns again and again, it's going to be very predictable, the outcome. I don't think anyone is envisioning Cody Rhodes losing in back-to-back years in the main event WrestleMania to Roman Reigns. It's just maybe it's just my disdain for Cody Rhodes combined with the absolute like distaste I have with everything to do with Roman Reigns' championship run right now. But I came away from the Rumble being very unexcited about WrestleMania season, and going into the pay-per-view, I was so excited. So maybe it's that's kind of wearing on me right now.
It's a pay-per-view, a PLE. I mean, we still call it pay-per-views, but it is a PLE that I came away as well feeling. I thought that the picks overall were good. I mean, I went 4 for 4, but that's not saying much. A lot of people did too. Given there's only 4 matches, it's not exactly a flex. I mean, but that said, it was an event that I came out. I was like, okay, I don't disagree with really any of the outcomes, but like you said, it felt like there was that intangible missing, that massive return. There was no Rock. I mean, I think that would have helped things if the Rock had come out and at least come face to face with Roman or laid out Solo or whatever. No Rock, no big returns. Obviously, no Brock Lesnar hurt. Yeah, I mean, we did get the other returns of Andrade. Okay, cool. We got Naomi on the women's side. We got the debut of Jade Cargill, which was a massive moment on the women's side of things. But yeah, it did feel formulaic and safe. And I know what WWE would say is like, okay, you want us to pick these people. We pick them to win. And yet you're still complaining that it was safe and not unexpected. But you can play it safe, but also have shocking moments. The outcome doesn't have to be the shocking moment, right? Like you can still have the right booking decision, but throughout the match or after the match, you can do things that are edgier and create more chatter. But yeah, there wasn't that spark, that massive, like kind of goosebump moment that you expect to happen at the Royal Rumble. So yeah, I came away, like you said, satisfied, but not excited like I feel like I should be.
Yeah, it's because it's like they went with the very safe option. And look, on the women's side, let me say, I thought the first half of the match, there were so many botches.
Oh my God.
I believe that you mentioned it. Like Maxine Dupree, God love her, but like she tried to do like that tilt-a-whirl, not her, was it a head scissors with Bailey?
Yeah.
And at first they they messed it up and then they had to redo it again. And you could see that it was pretty much all Bailey doing it. I think the worst, and maybe it was kind of just like the image of how big the two women were, but when Nia Jax was supposed to scoop slam Piper Niven onto Chelsea Green, and she got her like a quarter of the way up and then just put her down and shoved her.
Yeah.
Like Piper Niven went toppling over her. I think Ivy Nile actually had a few rough ones. I think there was just a few that she didn't get off the mat properly. But I think as a whole, you come away saying like, man, you're going to have Becky Lynch versus Rhea, a babyface Bailey versus Io, which is kind of trending towards like an Evolution-esque storyline of Batista versus Triple H. And then you're probably going to maybe have the first ever women's match at WrestleMania that's non-title but feels like a main event in Bianca Belair versus Jade Cargill. So my takeaway from the women's side of things is very positive, and that's a good thing and a fair thing to point out. And even though Bailey was the predictable winner, absolutely the right choice. For the men, it's like well, now we're just going to Cody and Roman, and we were all expecting The Rock in some form or fashion. And a lot of us have just are over the Roman championship run and the title being held hostage. And look, I know Cody was the odds-on favorite to win. I predicted him. You predicted it. Vegas was predicting him. Everyone was predicting it. But still seeing him win just upset me to the deepest part of my body. Because remember we were saying this time last year that everything will be sacrificed at the altar of Roman Reigns? It feels like now like everything is being sacrificed at the altar of Cody Rhodes. And that to me is what's starting to piss me off a bit, is where I'm saying, are we just going to go from a Roman Reigns 3.5 title reign to just like the Cody Rhodes era where it's all about him all the time?
Well, it already is. Right? I mean, you look at him, his stupid smiling face is on the cover of the 2K video game. He's, being shown getting out of his vehicle in his suit. I mean, like I said, I really feel like he wears his suit probably while he's taking a shower. I don't know if he ever takes it off. It's obnoxious how often he wears a suit. I love how Drew pointed that out a couple weeks ago, how he always smiles. It's almost like he took the criticisms from this show and put it into his promo, talking about how he looks like a politician. I mean, it was I loved everything Drew said a couple weeks ago. But now, I mean, shifting gears, because this is going to be the bulk of our conversation, we get an injury that occurred, presumably, and you can go watch this. Everyone has probably seen it at this point. The moment when CM Punk went down, and we didn't know he went down until the reports came out earlier today that CM Punk has injured. He's torn his triceps off of his arm, basically, which is going to require surgery. It's going to take 4 to 6 months of rehabilitation for him to come back, which means at the earliest he's coming back in like June. So obviously there goes WrestleMania. Maybe in time for SummerSlam he'll be back, right in time for Charlotte to return. So that's a huge blow to the company. I know that they have a deep roster right now, but everyone was expecting and waiting for Seth Rollins and CM Punk. It was a matchup that was made for WrestleMania. It had a great build, a great foundation, and now, yes, you could put Gunther in that position. You could put Jey Uso in that position. And maybe the stars are aligning for that because Gunther's opponent is also gone. So, I mean, those two now have no opponents and they seemingly would be a good fit. But what was your reaction? I mean, when you heard the news that CM Punk was injured, that he's going to be out for 4 to 6 months, and here comes WrestleMania. What are your thoughts?
It's weird, like, for obviously disappointed on some level because of his return, and I felt like his return had already lost a lot of steam because he hadn't sunk his teeth right into a promo yet, or not a promo, a program yet, and he had yet to have a one-on-one televised match. So the Rumble was the first time that, unless you were at the Madison Square Garden house show, that you saw him in ring since he returned to the company 2 months ago. So I already felt like a lot of wind had been taken out of his sails. But then when you add in the injury thing, the first thing I thought about was like, man, was this just like a one-night thing where everyone lost their collective minds and that's it for CM Punk? Like, before I get into the impacts that I'll have on WrestleMania and the subsequent match that will replace it, do you think that there's any validity to the thought that maybe this was just like a one-night wonder upon his return at Survivor Series?
You mean, was it a one-night wonder in terms of it being
like fan interest?
Oh, I think you're right that it got to the point where we were at that tipping point. Even the most ardent CM Punk fans were like, okay, dude, you're being advertised for this Raw, that Raw, whatever, but we know it's just going to be a promo. The promos were delivered very well. I mean, that's what Punk is known for more than his matches are his promos. I mean, that's how he essentially has made his living. It's how he has made his career, is with his voice, really, and not his in-ring. His in-ring is good, really good, but it's his voice. So I think even the most ardent fans were saying, hey, man, can we just get into a program? I think that's kind of where we started to land. And really, even when you heard the reaction at the Rumble, when the fans had to make a decision between Cody and Punk, the fans were leaning towards Cody. I mean, you could hear the difference in the reactions, and when the fans were forced to choose, it wasn't overwhelming, but there was a clear delineation that they wanted Cody Rhodes over Punk in that moment. So, do I think it's a one-off? Do I think it's kind of a lightning in a bottle one night? I don't think so. CM Punk, though, has started to lose some steam, but that happens with every single return, no matter how big they are, from Austin to Rock to whoever. Every time they come back, if they're on a short run, the subsequent reactions are going to become a little less and then eventually level off at a certain point. So that's kind of a normal thing. The biggest reaction is always the first return, and then it levels off and people kind of get used to you being back. So I think, though, that you're right, though, that it did start to descend and get frustrating, where it's like, okay, can you show up and get into a program with someone? And we understand you're good at promos, but I think it did get frustrating.
So now that you take him out for 4 to 6 months, it's going to open up a massive opportunity for someone at WrestleMania. And I guess we're all assuming that Cody's going to go up against Roman Reigns based on his point following the match. And to be honest, as much as I hate Cody Rhodes, that was kind of like a nice change of pace, like the skybox thing. And Roman Reigns, for as much as he's never there, and I hate his reign, no pun intended, his facials are still one of the best in the business, if not the best in the business. And it makes you realize and remember why he was pushed so hard, because he has this talent when he's present. So, assuming that's the case and Seth Rollins is good to go at WrestleMania, it opens the door for someone who was maybe going to get buried down the card. And the first guy that jumped into my mind was LA Knight. I know we're all expecting him to challenge Logan Paul for the United States Championship, but with Gunther being, you could also make the case for Gunther, but with CM Punk being injured and his spot being freed up, I can't think of a better guy to challenge Seth Rollins based on the steam he has behind him. Like, you could make the case for Drew, but it's been there, done that with Drew and Seth at this point. They've already had 2 matches. I doubt they go back to the well at WrestleMania. And if Cody is going to challenge Roman, he's presumably going to shift to SmackDown full time. Wouldn't it be best for LA Knight to avoid being further buried on SmackDown and shift to Monday Night Raw? So for me, the way I guess I'm kind of looking at it is that as much as it sucks that CM Punk won't be around to challenge Seth Rollins for the world title, and we finally get that match that is seemingly years in the making between the two, it opens up a spot for a guy that wouldn't have had that prominent position. And to me, the first guy I thought of was LA Knight.
I have no issues with LA. I mean, I think every fan that's listening that is an LA Knight fan would agree. And I think that there's easily a way to get that done, like you said. I mean, it's not like WWE cares about their own brand rules. I'm sure, there's, even if they did and they respected them, you easily, as you mentioned, could just do a swap. You could do a trade. I mean, whatever. It's very easy to get LA Knight over to Raw and keep him there if they want to have him challenge Seth. The only concern I have with that is that LA Knight's a big baby face, and unless you're planning on turning Seth Rollins heel, that match will turn Seth Rollins heel, because LA Knight is a beloved character right now. He's not as hot as he was, but he's still pretty damn warm, and I think the fans are ready for a change with the world title, the World Heavyweight Championship, and they would back LA Knight over Seth Rollins just because LA Knight has never held a major championship in WWE. The fans were ready for it many months ago when he faced Roman Reigns, and even before that, they were ready to embrace him as a champion. He's not a young guy either, so he's not this immature 22-year-old that doesn't know who he is. LA Knight knows exactly who he is. He's a polished performer. Is he the greatest of all time? No, but he could absolutely be a candidate to take the belt off of Seth Rollins. It's just the concern of, if your plan isn't to turn Seth Rollins heel, that will become the plan by force if you put them together at the stage of WrestleMania.
Yeah, that's a good point, but could that have not been the case with CM Punk as well?
Oh, absolutely. And I think it really would have been interesting, though, because you could have turned Punk heel. With LA Knight, you can't turn him heel. I think CM Punk has shown how good of a heel he is. And the fans were starting to cool off on him a little bit anyway. And so with that, you could have actually had Punk be the guy to take out Rollins from behind and instantly. I mean, people would have bought into it. I think you could have made a better case to turning Punk heel than you could have with LA Knight. But unless maybe that wasn't the case and they were just going to let the fans decide. And if the fans decided, sure, they probably would have chosen Punk over Rollins when it came to when it came to the actual match itself in Philadelphia.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's just, I guess, if it's not, because now Gunther's freed up as well, right? Because doesn't seem like Brock Lesnar's going to be part of the creative plans anytime soon because of the pending lawsuit against WWE and his name being involved in that. So do you think Gunther finds a way into the world title picture and drops the Intercontinental Championship before WrestleMania?
Yeah, that's the thing. So here's what my best guess is this. Assuming Brock isn't some magician that's able to clear his name completely from this lawsuit, which is very unlikely, and it's a damn shame. It's a damn shame, obviously, from a human perspective. Obviously, the actual acts are horrific, all that stuff, if they're true. But it's also a damn shame from a wrestling fan perspective of we are now cheated out of Gunther and Brock Lesnar. Were cheated out of a Brock Lesnar entry into the Rumble and just having him be around during WrestleMania season. It just sucks. It sucks. So from obviously a less important perspective, it does suck from a fan's perspective. But here, what I would guess is going to happen is that Gunther drops the belt at Elimination Chamber, or he's in the chamber and the Intercontinental Championship is dropped after a Monday Night Raw, sometime between Chamber and WrestleMania, because you don't want Gunther going into WrestleMania as Intercontinental Champion and also competing for the world title. To me, then at that point, what are you doing? You're sacrificing the Intercontinental Championship and leaving it off the show. For what reason? It wouldn't do anybody any good when you have a lot of contenders that could have an awesome match for that championship that Gunther has made infinitely more important, arguably in some ways more important than the world title. So I think that's probably what happens, is that Gunther wins now, is going to be the favorite to win this presumable Elimination Chamber match. Guys, again, we haven't seen Monday Night Raw, so I always like to say that because I have not seen a lick of Monday Night Raw. A lot of this may be addressed already, but from not seeing Raw yet, I think Gunther wins the Chamber, drops the Intercontinental Championship between Chamber and Mania, and then Gunther challenges Rollins one-on-one at WrestleMania.
So this is my thing, is that would make a ton of sense, but what about Gunther going up against Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental Championship? Or do you think that Gunther has too much to lose by putting over a guy like Braun Breaker at WrestleMania? Like, is Gunther still in the stage where he should be getting the big wins at WrestleMania? Because with Braun Breaker pretty much taking on the Brock Lesnar role at the Rumble, I wonder, is that a match that they could go forward with, but keep the Intercontinental Championship involved with Gunther versus Braun Breaker? Because as far as mid-card championships goes, that would be one of the bigger ones of the last few years, although the IC title match that was a triple threat last year almost arguably stole the show as well.
Yeah, that's right. With Sheamus and Drew and Gunther, that was I mean, you could do that, and you know what? You could just keep the damn belt on him and have him compete in 2 matches. I guess that's possible too. But Braun Breaker, with his performance at the Royal Rumble, has really, I mean, again, this is where we just talked about it. Brock's loss of an opportunity allows somebody else to step up and shine. And Braun Breaker, who was obviously not supposed to be in the Rumble and took Brock Lesnar's spot, did have a nice showing. He's getting that mainstream, that main roster exposure now to fans that are like, who is this guy? Oh, that's right, he's some NXT guy. He had a pretty good showing, and then they start to recognize him, and it becomes a mainstay in their minds, and it becomes more and more of a threat to the Intercontinental Championship. So I think, yeah, you could do that. You could have Braun Breaker versus Gunther, but I mean, honestly, you could even keep him as champion. I mean, what about Gunther as a double champion? They did that with Seth Rollins, back in 2016? They had Seth Rollins as an Intercontinental. Was it the Intercontinental and the Universal Champion, or Intercontinental and WWE Champion at one point? So it's been done before.
Yeah, I think he had the WWE Championship and the US title when
there
he
you go.
defeated John Cena for it. And the last time that they did an IC title versus a world title, that was probably what, Hogan versus Warrior, WrestleMania 6.
Yeah.
But all this to say is, like, you have a lot of talent to go with to replace CM Punk. And that's not to say, and I'm not trying to dump all over CM Punk here, but like we've said in past shows, like, WWE's in a very good spot talent-wise, arguably better than they've been in well over a decade. So, I mean, Gunther's a good choice. You could have him even drop it inside the Elimination Chamber. Like, what if you have 2 chamber matches? You have one, well, I guess they usually do one for the women and one for the men. And the men will almost surely be for the the number 1 contendership of the world title. So I guess, like, could Gunther drop it to Jey Uso at the Elimination Chamber? And then, like, but then he would have to compete twice in one match. It's weird how they would get Gunther there unless he drops the IC title on Raw, because do you think they would actually do a double title match?
You mean Intercontinental versus World?
The World, yeah.
I mean, anything's possible at this point. There's a lot of ways to go, and honestly, I don't know if any of them are really bad. I mean, there's really few bad decisions, I think, out there, because, like you said, the talent depth right now is so deep, and they are in such a good position. And really, this injury to Punk, I think, exposes a larger problem of the past and somewhat of the current when you rely on older stars who have obviously older bodies and more mileage. They're more susceptible to injury. I mean, that injury that happened, it was kind of a freak thing. He landed fine. I mean, even with Seth Rollins, he has a ton of mileage on his body too. And no one did anything wrong. Nobody botched anything. It's just one of those freak things that happens. I think when you have, and you're more susceptible to it, when you have older stars doing these maneuvers, that it's just physics. It's just kind of science, right? So, I mean, it's one of those things that they have a lot of good options, and I don't think they have a whole lot of terrible ones. I mean, they have, like you said, they could do Intercontinental versus World. I don't have a problem with that. The only downside of that is you're putting all your eggs in one basket, and you're not separating them out and allowing guys to have that match by themselves, maybe a fatal 4-way of sorts for that Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania, and then have Gunther have his own one-on-one with Seth Rollins. That's the only drawback, is that I think you're maybe taking some guys out of the equation that would otherwise have a title match when you put both titles in one match.
Yeah, and because you could put the title on Jay and have him defend it against a Braun Breaker, and I think both of us are kind of in lockstep that Jey Uso would be probably the best guy to go into WrestleMania as the Intercontinental Champion, or leave WrestleMania as the Intercontinental Champion, and something that I think you speculated on before we heard the news about Punk. But I guess shifting gears to the SmackDown side of things, and with The Rock seemingly on the outside looking in, like, what's your opinion on where this all leads to with Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes and The Rock? What happens here?
Well, one thing I want to finish up on before I talk about The Rock, just one point I want to make is, what if they just have Gunther vacate the belt? What if he just remains undefeated for that championship? Would you, just my last question to you on this side, and then we'll move to The Rock, is, would you be opposed to Gunther just saying, you know, I'm vacating the championship because I have bigger goals or something like that? I mean, we've seen it before. I remember back in '97 when Austin gave the belt to The Rock, the Intercontinental Championship to The Rock, because he said he wanted to move on, and he had bigger fish to fry, or whatever he said at the time. So would you hate that? Would you oppose that Gunther decides to relinquish the championship?
I would, just because I think you have some guys who could really benefit from winning that title, but primarily Jey Uso, and I think even Sami Zayn. Like, Sami Zayn hasn't really gotten his due since we both agree got shafted in Montreal last year at the Elimination Chamber. So I think either of those two guys defeating Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship would do them both some good, and maybe you do it in a fatal 4-way. Like, I heard you mention it, like Drew, Sammy, Jay, and Gunther, so he doesn't have to take the pin. Like, right. There are ways to keep Gunther looking strong and get him away from the Intercontinental Championship. I just think that based on the guys you have at your disposal who could really do good things with a victory like that, I would avoid the vacation. Okay. Or vacating it, rather.
Yeah, the vacation. I mean, yeah.
The vacation.
Yeah, don't say that word in front of Roman. He'll say, vacation? Oh, I'm in. So, yeah, I mean, so as far as The Rock goes, here's really, at this point, the only thing I can think of what happens if they still want to do Rock Roman. It's not going to happen at Elimination Chamber. I think everyone can kind of get that out of their minds. It's been reported that Roman Reigns, surprise to everyone, is not going to be even competing at the Elimination Chamber. We haven't confirmed that, but a lot of sources, all the big websites, you know who they are, have been saying that, and I'll take it at face value. So what I think the only option you have, really the only option you have, because they're doing Cody Roman, they're doing that. The only option you have is having Roman work both nights. You have The Rock versus Roman Reigns, non-title in night one, and you have Cody versus Roman for the championship in night two. I just don't see another way to do this. I don't know how else if you want to do it again at WrestleMania 40, there's really no other option other than throwing The Rock into the main event, which, I mean, I honestly wouldn't want a triple threat. To me, you can't do this mega match with a third party. If you're doing Rock Roman, which is a match, it's a dream match, you can't add a third party to this, at least in the first go around. If they want to do it, and if there's a second or third match, fine. But you can't have the first iteration of this be with Cody and Rock and Roman. I think that you would probably do 2 nights with The Rock on night one. What do you think?
I don't like. I wouldn't like that. Like I really just wanted Roman Rock, and then we spoke about this, Randy and Cody. Like at this point, it's just like, okay, punt on Roman Rock. Do it SummerSlam. Do it Saudi Arabia. Do it WrestleMania next year. It's just I want all the focus to be on Roman and Rock. And look, they clearly want to do Cody Roman. I mean, like I said earlier in the show, it is all about pushing Cody Rhodes to the absolute top of the wrestling world. We know that's where it's going. So I'd rather them just go balls deep in Cody Rhodes, get it over with, just get me to the bane of my existence by seeing him win the championship to close WrestleMania. Honestly, I can't even talk about it because of how upset I am that they're doing this again, and they're going to take attention away from Rock versus Roman. This is The Rock said it. I think he's talked about it with Stephen A. Smith last week. That has the potential to be one of the biggest WrestleMania matches of all time, one of the biggest builds of all time, Rock versus Roman. And he's right. He's not being conceited. That's literally correct. This has been arguably 4 years in the making, if not even longer. To your point, 9 years in the making since the Rumble of 2015. And now it's going to have to share the spotlight and arguably get overshadowed by Cody Rhodes and his dumb story. I want nothing of that. If they're so hell-bent on doing this with Cody Rhodes, just do it and kick the can down the road, or don't do it at all. I would rather them not do it at all than do it night one and be overshadowed by Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, I have my reservations about the plan I laid out, but it's again, if they want this to happen by WrestleMania 40 or at WrestleMania 40, that's the only option other than throwing The Rock into it, making it a triple threat. Again, I'm really opposed to that because Cody has already laid out what his plans are. I mean, it's a lock. It is an absolute lock. It's Cody and Roman. It is happening, which means either Roman does double duty or, like you said, you kick the can to another time in another place. But I can't think of another time and another place other than WrestleMania. That is the only place that this, at least the first one, if they want to do multiple, fine. But the first one has to be at WrestleMania. There is money to be made, and a lot of it to be made off of Rock and Roman. I don't want to hear from the Cody fans that it's a better match. It'll be a better wrestling match. Cody needs to take the belt off of Roman. It's his story. All that's really fun and gooey and makes you feel good with your belly. But I'm telling you, if you don't understand how and why Rock Roman is a bigger match than Cody Roman, I mean, you're just not paying attention, or you don't want to be. So I have absolute no reservations about focusing on Rock Roman, but I don't know how they do that anymore. Again, can you formulate a scenario where this year, not SummerSlam, not WrestleMania 41, in which it's Rock Roman one-on-one for the belt or not, whatever. How is that even? Is that even in the realm of possibility anymore? Is it doable?
It is, because what do you know? There's a spot open up on Monday Night Raw, and although we think Cody Rhodes picked Roman Reigns, has he done it officially? For all we know, he could pivot and challenge Seth Rollins. And finishing the story makes a lot more sense against Seth Rollins, given how he returned 2 years ago, than it does against Roman Reigns. I don't know why his story has to finish with Roman Reigns. I've never really understood it, unless it's only about the championship. That specific title, it has to be that title. It can't be another world title. I don't get it. Like, I think that Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins would be a much better story to tell, because we've already been down that road. With Roman Reigns, I mean, it was even more about Paul Heyman and Cody Rhodes. Like, okay, yeah, the Dusty thing, which I don't give a damn about anymore, but like, that's the easy way. It's actually quite simple. With CM Punk out of the way, there's an easy path to having Rock versus Roman for the title and Cody versus Seth for the world title. But I just don't think that they'll do it. But with CM Punk out of the way, it's a very simple solution.
That's actually true. I mean, I keep forgetting how big of a hole that CM Punk's absence leaves. We're assuming it's Gunther, you know, or who else we were talking about, but it could be, absolutely could be Cody Rhodes, even though Cody was pointing directly at Roman Reigns at the Rumble, and Roman, you know, was doing his great acting and acting kind of depressed, or acting kind of very, very anxious, very concerned. It very well could be Cody versus Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, and you know how good they work together. They have a storied history. They have 3 matches prior, of which Cody has won all of them, by the way. They were going to do a 4th, and the injury was derailed the whole thing. And so, sure, they could do that if they want Rock Roman. I think the reason they want Roman is, you know, Cody got screwed out of that championship opportunity last year with Solo Sikoa, along with a million other people before him. But also, I think Roman Reigns is looked at as kind of the end boss. He's kind of like the mafia, the head of the mafia, right? Like, he is that end boss. And as much as Seth Rollins wants to pretend that his title means more and all that, it just doesn't. It just, that's kind of the way it is. I mean, the lineage of the WWE Championship, the Universal Championship, it's a little muddy, but I know that Cody was chasing that particular championship that his dad never won. I don't believe his dad ever won the title that Seth Rollins holds, but I think he was chasing specifically that championship and the lineage of the WWE Championship, not Universal. Universal was made up out of thin air, just like 9 years ago. So that's, I think, the reason.
Yeah, it does make sense when you lay it out like that. I for me, it's just more like it's kind of like what I said at the beginning of the show. You are wasting every possible opportunity at the altar of Cody Rhodes. So because he's chasing the lineage of the WWE title, and because Roman Reigns is like the final boss, that means that we're not going to get Rock versus Roman. Like, I just, like, how important is this guy? And you know what? I say that, but I'm pretty sure Triple H said that he's the future of this business. And to me, when I heard that, I'm just like, oh, we're bleeped. That's it. We are bleeped for as long as Cody Rhodes is around. It is going to be Cody Rhodes all the time. And people, like, I cannot wait for anyone to keep cheering about Cody Rhodes, because it's just like, you guys all booed Cena, justifiably so to a certain extent, for years. Years and years and years. You booed John Cena out of the building. You wished him away. You want nothing to do with him. And Cody Rhodes is 100 times worse than John Cena ever was, in my opinion. I know that you were never a huge John Cena fan, but who is worse between peak John Cena and this version of Cody Rhodes?
It's crazy. It's a no contest for me. Cody Rhodes. It's like the worst attributes of John Cena on steroids. I mean, no pun intended. Like that's what it was. Take all the things that were super annoying about the babyface John Cena and then maximize them or magnify them by about a factor of 10, and you have Cody Rhodes. Yeah, I mean, so yes.
So we're now going to get this, and you know that we know Triple H, and he likes his long world title reigns. He's probably going to hold that championship for over a year. Like, I would guess. Like, do you not see, if Cody Rhodes wins the WWE title at WrestleMania, could you not see him going into next year's WrestleMania as WWE champion?
I think it's a foregone conclusion. I could see no less than a 1-year reign from Cody. And here's the other thing. Do you think WWE would dare have Cody Rhodes lose a second year in a row?
No.
Only for the fact that I think we're still not understanding how maybe committed they are to having Roman beat Hulk Hogan's record when they're about, 6 months away at this point. When you get to WrestleMania, about 6 months away from having Roman get that championship, that next level. He's now in the top 3. Or do you think they just say, we can't do it 2 years in a row, guys? We just can't do it. Is there any chance in your mind that they actually don't give Cody the belt for a second time?
No, there's no chance, because then they would be turning Cody into a parody of himself. With the finishing the story thing, everyone thought it was a foregone conclusion last year, but now, he went through turmoil. He lost to Roman Reigns. He had the thing with Brock, and he treaded water in the spring. He had the short-lived feud with Shinsuke. But now, 2 years to the pay-per-view that he's returned, he finishes his stupid story. If you make Roman win now, you've already seen some memes and spoofs of him finishing the story or him cutting a pipe bomb promo, because when the rumors came out that he wasn't supposed to face Roman or for any world title at WrestleMania. So, I mean, he has to. And you see how Triple H and creative are positioning him. He's being presented to us as the face of the company, which to me is very disrespectful to Seth Rollins. It's like they're passing the baton from Roman Reigns to Seth, and they're just stepping right over Seth Rollins. Or other guys, for that matter, like LA Knight, or even a Drew McIntyre. I don't know why Cody Rhodes has just been dubbed the chosen one. And, I don't get it. I understand that he's over. I could concede that he's a main event player, but, the fact that he has just been kind of anointed as the face of the company, I do not get. And like I said, they are sacrificing so many things at the altar of Cody Rhodes just to make him be the first back-to-back champion in 26 years or whatever it is, or win the world title away from Roman Reigns, the guy to break the 3.5-year-long reign. Everything has to go with Cody Rhodes. And remember when you used to say, all roads lead to Roman Reigns? Well, now all roads lead to Cody Rhodes.
Pun intended. I mean, they do.
Exactly.
They do. I mean, everything you see, every big move that has happened, somehow Cody is responsible for it. He's now the face of 2K. He's in ad campaigns. Like you said, though, how the hell did this happen? He left WWE for how many years, made a mockery of Triple H in AEW, and then he comes back with his bleach blonde hair, and all of a sudden he's just the face of the company. How did this happen? I feel like I need to do a case study on this. What did he do? I mean, then he gets injured and goes away again for another 5 months. What happened underneath our noses? All of a sudden, like you said, a lot of guys passed over who have been here consistently throughout the years. Champions like Seth Rollins who have just killed themselves to stay at the top, to get to the top. And all of a sudden, Cody comes in with his suit and his hair and his stupid smile, and we're all supposed to just accept he's the face of the company. I mean, the fans are reacting, no doubt about it, but what happened? What happened right underneath our noses here?
I honestly don't understand. And it's funny because if you ask casual fans, my girlfriend is the most casual wrestling fan. No pun intended. We love the actual casual wrestling fan, but she is a complete casual fan. She'll pop in for major pay-per-views, major storylines around Rumble season. And what she said when she saw that he won is just what the bleep did this guy do to win everything? She doesn't understand why he's winning everything. because she had no idea who Cody Rhodes was before he showed back up 2 years ago.
Yeah.
If you started watching wrestling in 2021 and Cody Rhodes just showed up and you only watched WWE and you didn't watch AEW, like, you would have no idea who the bleep this guy is. And the reason behind that is because he was gone for 5 years? And before that, even if you did watch it before that, like me, he was Stardust, or he was a perennial tag team champion, or he had a cup of coffee as like the Intercontinental champion. Like, I mean, he was nothing ever more than like a lower mid-carder tag team guy. And just because like he had moderate success in AEW, which I didn't even really watch, and even in AEW, he wasn't the main guy. Wasn't he just like the TNT champion? Like, he never held their world title. It's not like you're bringing over MJF. Like, it wasn't like you got their biggest star and brought him over. Like, that's why, like, you have to, when you're writing for wrestling shows, especially WWE, and how like mainstream they are, you have to go with the assumption, in my opinion, that not every fan knows the full-on backstory and internet discourse of every wrestler. And I feel with Cody Rhodes, the reason why they bring up Dusty so much is to try and convince fans like my girlfriend why he's so important. But in reality, all it is annoying, and he can't stand on his own 2 feet. So it's so bizarre, but at the same time, we're in the minority. The vast majority of people love this guy, so maybe we're the effed up ones in all of this.
I don't care if I am. I'll accept that title because I'm not changing my feeling on his persona. I mean, we could totally change our tune. The funny thing is, you and I may totally flip the script if he decides to turn heel at some point, because I think he could be brilliant as a heel. He's got everything built right in with the suits and everything else and how he looks, and he could easily talk down to us. He's good. He's a really good promo. It's all right there if the switch ever wanted to get flipped, but they have invested themselves in this babyface character for years to come. I don't think we're going to see it for like plural years because of all the marketing materials he's on, the merch he's selling, all the ads he's in, all the ad campaigns and everything else. You're not going to have a top heel do that kind of stuff usually. So he's built in, I think, for the next at least 2 years as a babyface, unless the fans organically turn on him, which I hope happens. But you're right. In AEW, he was just he was moderately successful, but the fans turned on him. And then he was just like, I don't get it, guys. Why do you hate me? And the lack of self-awareness, I think, is really lost on him sometimes. It's his character is like he's trying to be so much like the common man and be so relatable that he's actually super unrelatable. Like, you could tell he's trying to just be a fan and trying to be just normal guy. And I know what he's doing. Instead of feeling like he's out of touch, he actually feels like he's out of touch because he's trying not to be, if that makes sense. I could do a whole psychoanalyzing podcast on why Cody Rhodes' babyface character just sucks. Like, I mean, it's, but I won't. So I'll stop there, and I don't know if you have anything else on the Cody Rhodes situation heading into WrestleMania. And ultimately, do you think though that they would even dare go that road of Cody versus Seth? Do you think they do that? I
don't think so. Like I said, I think that they're prepared to sacrifice everything at the altar of Cody Rhodes and finishing his dumb story. So although that would be the logical choice, because if you all sat down and said, okay, what's actually best for business here? That would be the best thing. Cody versus Seth. You could even do that on night 2. Cody versus Seth, night 2. Rock versus Roman on night 1.
Yep.
Like, it's right there. It's right there for the taking. CM Punk's gone. And then you could have Gunther versus Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental Championship. You could still have LA Knight versus Logan Paul for the US Championship. You can have Drew doing whatever he's going to be doing. Like, that would probably be the best outcome for everyone. But if you're hell-bent on Cody versus Roman, then you're not getting Rock versus Roman. You're going to force Gunther or LA Knight into the main event scene on Monday Night Raw, which will then open up another spot for a mid-card championship, and everything gets shuffled around. As opposed to if you just go Cody Seth, you still have Rock Roman, and then the 2 mid-card championships, or at least what we're thinking or speculating on, stay the same. For me, it's simple, but I know for them, everything will be sacrificed at his altar. So I'm not holding my breath.
Probably. I mean, we're unfortunately, I think we're probably talking into the wind here. It's not going to happen. But the only evidence I can see of Cody and Seth being actually a realistic option is, if you remember over the summer and into the fall, every time that each of them would finish a program and they would confront each other, they could never get a promo with each other because someone would interrupt. That happened like 2 or 3 times where the WWE was teasing them once again getting back together to have a program, and the fans seemed pretty excited about it because they hadn't crossed paths since his return from injury. And he finally crossed paths with them, and then someone would interrupt. So they teased it and laid the groundwork for a future program with them again. But I mean, they haven't done that in a while, and that's the only thing I can think of them using that as a platform of, coming back to Cody and Seth. And again, it would make so much sense and make everything so much easier when it comes to the WrestleMania card if you just went that way, because you could have the mega match with Roman and Rock, which is the money match. I don't think that we really understand the magnitude of how big that match is, or some people don't, of how big and how much publicity and how much hype that match would get, how many more viewers, how many more subscriptions to Peacock that would get, how many YouTube views, which creates ad revenue, and The Rock's reach in Hollywood. He's the biggest star literally on the planet. There is just, to me, like you said, if you're looking at this from dollars and cents, it makes a whole lot of dollars and cents, pun intended, for Rock Roman to be the main event of, I don't care if it is night 1, and you have Cody and Seth night 2, and Cody becomes champion. You can kill 2 birds with 1 stone, but people are hell bent on it being Roman Reigns and that Cody defeats. So I
just don't see the point in even speculating on anything else. Like, they will alter everything before they change Cody Rhodes' path, unfortunately. And it sucks.
And if I hear one more time finishing the story, this thing is this whole thing. I mean, they made a whole slogan out of it for 2K24.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Like, it's just, and even other wrestlers are using it in their promos. It's just like built into the fabric of WWE somehow now. Finish the story. I want to finish my story. It's just like, I mean, I don't need to hear any more bedtime stories. I don't need to hear about, I mean, honestly, it's not even finishing your story, because you want to start your story when you win the belt. So that's what we'll hear when he wins it. I mean, I thought I was finishing it, but really I'm starting a new story. It's like, I can see his stupid promo already. But hey, if Roman drops the belt, I will sit and stomach that promo for the sacrifice, or as a sacrifice for Roman losing.
That's another good point. That's a very good point, honestly.
So there is that, because Cody does have the best chance to beat Roman, more than The Rock. So that is one positive if we get Roman Cody over Rock and Roman. So that is one positive. But all right, well, I guess we'll end it there. I know that you have a After Dark show that you did this past week that focused on the Royal Rumble, and guys, it's exclusive to Patreon and to Apple Podcasts. So I don't know if you have any wrap up thoughts or comments.
It was essentially just my preview and prediction show. Touched a bit on Vince and how tragic of an ending it is, and how, he shamefully retired, forced his way back in after 6 months, and now had to shamefully and maybe criminally be shown the door finally. And I don't think he's going to be shoehorning his way back in anytime soon, especially given the fact that Ari Emanuel is the guy who the buck stops with now. So aside from the preview and prediction show, I just had maybe my 5 to 6 minute thoughts on Vince McMahon. And obviously, I'm not going to touch on the criminal stuff too much, just because we don't know, just accusations at this point, and I'm not a lawyer. I don't want to say anything out of turn, but more so just how unfortunate of an ending his story, pun intended, came to be.
Yeah. No, I mean, really, yeah, it really is. It is. It's really just it is tragic, but also if those allegations are true, I mean, it's, then screw
disgusting.
him. Yeah. It's disgusting. I mean, screw him. Right. So, but we'll let things, I'm a big believer in letting things play out, letting the evidence speak for itself, letting the courts and everything else. Let's see the proof. Let's go through the motions. It's not looking good. I'm not saying he's innocent at all, but I'm a big believer in let's let the evidence play itself out. People have already jumped to conclusions without even looking at a single word in the document of the lawsuit. Again, He's probably guilty, but I want to at least let things play out before I jump to any conclusions. But it's really crazy when you look at this now in 2024. We don't have a single McMahon in the company. It's mind blowing, really. If you had told anybody that just 2 years ago, that not a single McMahon will be employed by the WWE, you wouldn't have believed it. So. All right. I think we'll end it there. But yeah, certainly this has just been a wild week of news and tragedies and injuries, but also some really good booking. So we'll have even more updates, and I'm sure a much clearer picture for Elimination Chamber in 7 days. So thanks so much, buddy, and we'll talk soon.
Looking forward to it next week, man. Take care.
You too.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.